Court nullifies the authority of Banjul Mayor to issue attestation. NAREG launches $200 million electricity project in Sami CRR. Zimbabwean industry in dispute due to renewed distributions. Gambians concerned over hate speech defamation among party militants. This and more coming on the World Today newscast. Hello, this is the World Today newscast with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. Now, the High Court in Banjul has on Tuesday ruled that it is illegal for the mayor of Banjul to issue attestation for people to acquire the voter's card. The Independent Electoral Commission granted the mayors of Banjul, Rahim Malik Low, the powers to attest citizenship of people from the capital city during the just-ended voter registration exercise. This move was, however, challenged by Gambia participants and others at the High Court as a violation of the laws of the land. Counsel for the mayors of Banjul had urged the court to dismiss the case on basis that the applicants lacked the authority to challenge the authority in question. Court, however, ruled that the Independent Electoral Commission has acted illegally by authorizing the Banjul mayors to issue attestation. Now, still with the news, the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, laid the foundation stone for the Lamin-Koto-Diabugu 30 kV power network and the power distribution line certification project in the Sami District Central River region over the weekend. The electricity project, worth over $200 million, will provide access to over 40 communities in the countryside. This move, according to the government, is to complement its plan to provide uninterrupted nationwide power supply by 2025. Omar Ahmed Toure files in this report.
The Managing Director NAWEC, Nani Juara, has described the project as a crucial milestone in history, as this is the first time in over 50 years 46 communities in this area are to benefit from electricity supply.
This project is co-funded by the World Bank, the European Union and EIB as part of the Gambia Electricity Restoration and Modernization Project at a total cost of over $8 million US. And in Gambian dollars, that is over $200 million. The objective of this project is to provide access to over 46 communities in Sami and Sandu districts in URR.
According to Director Juara, NAWEC aims to provide electricity to 685 communities before 2023.
NAWEC, the government of the Gambia, in collaboration with our development partners, will provide access to 92 communities in the West Coast region, 185 communities in the North Bank region, 64 communities in the Lower River region, 139 communities in CRR, and 149 communities in URR before the end of 2023.
Fafa Sanyan, the Energy Minister, says a survey has been conducted in other areas in the Gambia over supply of electricity. According to him, this is in conformity with the government's plan of providing 24-hour access to electricity.
The energy roadmap approved by the Cabinet in 2017 has a vision to modernize the energy sector for a new Gambia and move towards 24/7 access to all Gambians. It identifies short and medium-term investments needed to modernize the energy system, and the priorities are to restore generation gap in the GBA, that's the Greater Banjul area, as quickly as possible, close the generation gap and investments in transmission and distribution. Also, it has the goal to scale up generation of 300 megawatts of available capacity by 2025.
Electricity, the driver for industrial development, is also used to enhance quality of life. But power fluctuations within the Greater Banjul area have been going on for nearly a year, forcing consumers to adapt to the unbearable situation. Poor quality supply and the inability to meet the growing electricity demand has caused a vacuum in the power sector. And the main areas affected by this are production, storage, and service delivery. Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmad Toure.
The Gambia COVID-19 cases continue to surge despite the ongoing administration of vaccines in the country. The latest situational report from the Ministry of Health shows the registration of 49 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total confirmed cases to more than 6,000. Naisisa reports.
Despite measures put in place by the government together with health officials, cases of the coronavirus continue to surge with a total of 6,328 confirmed in the Gambia from day one of the virus. As of the 8th of July 2021, the country recorded 99 new cases, one of the highest figures recorded during the subsequent waves of the virus in the West African nation. Regardless of the surge in the number of cases, people are becoming more negligent regarding preventive measures such as the wearing of face masks and social distancing. Notwithstanding, health officials emphasize the validity of these safety measures to curb the spread of the virus, today like ever before.
The regulations are not lifted at all. I think they are still in place, and people, as I said, people should adhere to these advices, these regulations, these measures. They are not lifted at all. We should keep on wash our hand. We should use face masks. We should even avoid crowding, and people should also take up vaccination very seriously.
The confirmation of the new COVID-19 variant in the Gambia serves as a strong reminder on the need to maintain the guards. The shortage of the AstraZeneca vaccine has exacerbated the situation, as many are worried about the uncertainties in getting their jabs. Appearing before lawmakers during the oral question and answer session, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, announced the ongoing construction of 8 new treatment centers in various parts of the country as part of their preparation for the third wave of COVID-19. Since the outbreak of the virus in March last year, the country has recorded 185 deaths and a total of 5,914 recoveries. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
Now, the World Bank Group has on Monday officially opened the World Bank Banjul office at the 5th Atlantic Boulevard in Fajara. The event, presided over by the country's Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, was a result of maintaining a strong relationship between the World Bank Group and the Gambia to provide solutions to the needs of the people. Amina was there and she now files in this report.
The World Bank Group works in every major area of development that provides a wide array of financial products and technical assistance, and helps countries share and apply innovative knowledge and solutions to the challenges they face. The bank has a mission of ending extreme poverty by reducing the share of the global population that lives in extreme poverty to 3% by 2030. These, they deem to be done by increasing the incomes of poorest 40% of people in every country so as to promote prosperity. In opening their new office in the Gambia, the World Bank's country director, Nathan Bellet, called for a strong continuation of collaboration with the Gambia so as to continue supporting the country.
Also with our development partner colleagues and civil society and private sector to make sure that everything that we're doing responds to the needs of the country, but also where we are best suited with our comparative advantage, because each of us as development partners has a role to play. We are hoping that our portfolio will continue to grow. I think next year alone we are hoping to do at least $70 million, and we are hoping that over the 3 years coming that our engagement with the Gambia could be upwards of $400 to $500 million, provided we have a strong continued collaboration with the Gambia.
Mambri Njai, the Gambia's finance minister and also the governor of the World Bank, highlighted the bank's support to the country over the past few years.
This new office complex, among others, is an indication of the World Bank's long-term commitment to partnering with the Gambia. It is therefore my ardent hope that our partnership remains strong and mutually beneficial as we continue to work in the service of the people of the Gambia. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, over the past few years, our country partnership portfolio has grown steadily. In addition to the ongoing regional projects with a commitment of up to approximately 125 million US dollars. In 2020, an extraordinary year for all of us, the bank provided a support of over 18 million US dollars under the Gambia COVID-19 project.
As she presided over the event, Dr. Aissatou Touré, Vice President of the Gambia, affirmed to the World Bank executives that her office will always be available to facilitate their work in the country. Dr. Touré expressed gratitude to the bank for being the first development partner supporter since the government took power in 2017.
Although we are immensely grateful for the support of all our development partners, I want to specifically shed light on the World Bank being the first development partner to step in to support our government when we took over in 2017, with an open budget support of 56 million. Additionally, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank once again stepped in almost immediately with support of $10 million, which enabled us to purchase the much-needed ambulances and health supplies. This went a long way in ensuring that the health sector was able to respond to the overwhelming demands of the system as the COVID cases grew at an alarming rate.
The World Bank Group has a unique global partnership with 189 member countries, with staff from more than 170 countries and offices in over 130 locations. In 2020, the bank allocated $43 million grant from the International Development Association for the Gambia's electricity restoration and modernization project, as the people of the Gambia face many challenges in terms of access to electricity and water. For iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Now, South Africa's national power utility has put forward a $10 billion plan to multilateral banks and agencies to ensure a transit to renewable energy. Eskom generates more than 90% of the country's electricity by burning coal. It is expecting around $7 to $8 for every ton of carbon dioxide from the emission system. We have more of that in this report.
Eskom has decided to make the transition as it hasn't been able to maintain the existing coal plants as well as complete new projects on time.
As we shut down our power plants, where are the opportunities and what are the opportunities to repower them with renewables, to repurpose them? But we're also looking at accelerating a renewables plan, looking at alternative options for energy security, for microgrids, for grid strengthening.
Climate change activists have been pushing the utility to move to sustainable energy sources to power the country's electricity grid.
If you look at a lot of the economic modeling and the systems analysis around what the best, most affordable, most job creating and reliable energy system is, it's a renewable energy future, one that's predominantly renewable, solar and wind with battery storage and the likes.
Not everyone agrees that renewables are the solution, specifically when it comes to dispatchable or baseload electricity.
Unless you've got a very large battery energy storage system, which hasn't been made to work commercially yet at the level we're looking at, or you've got some kind of backup power, renewables won't meet your need. If you just had PV, for example, PV can't meet the evening peak because the sun's not shining.
This isn't stopping Eskom from working with renewables in the short term as the coal-fired power stations reach their end of life. Finding the funding for the transition is a key focus.
The terms that we've been discussing with a lot of these financiers as well is very, very concessional, highly concessional loans, long payback periods, payment holidays, low interest rates. So that's what we're looking at. And on the side, in parallel, we're looking at the strategy to resolve the debt issues.
Eskom says it's got a plan to move from coal-fired power stations to renewable energy. The question now is how quickly it can do it and who's going to pay for it.
That report on South Africa adding up to $10 billion to ensure transit to renewable energy will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on the world today. Stay tuned.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back, and this is still the World Today newscast. Now, in the context of devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, cooperatives in Nigeria are supporting small and medium enterprises to survive the global health crisis. Many of these small businesses could not access credit facilities in Nigeria because the economy shrunk by 3.2% in 2020. Lower oil prices have been blamed for these circumstances. We have more in this report.
42-year-old Gabriel Yuyu is a fashion designer at the Satellite Market in Jos, North Central Nigeria. He is a member of a cooperative society which provides affordable lines of credit so long as he makes regular savings. Gabriel says being a part of it has been a rewarding experience, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I collected a loan from them, which they gave me commodity loan because of the little percentage I save with them. I apply to get a machine like this, which they bought it for me, which I later paid them little by little. So I really benefited from it.
Nigeria's economy shrank by 3.2% in 2020, according to the International Monetary Fund, mostly due to lower oil prices caused by the coronavirus outbreak. As a result, a number of small businesses could not access any credit facilities. Cooperatives have been a financial lifeline for many members. Over 15,000 cooperatives operate in the country and have contributed over 500 billion naira to the nation's GDP. That's about $1.2 billion.
You must be a member. We come down to people, we ask them, contribute little. You have to contribute that money for 6 months. After 6 months, you can collect loan 3 times of whatsoever you have there with 9% interest, which we pay back within the duration of 1 year.
But there are many cooperatives in the country operating illegally, and cases of fraud continue. One such cooperative conned people out of their savings by claiming the collections were to process a World Bank grant. The Nigerian government has established a small and medium enterprises development agency with a mandate to stimulate, monitor and coordinate the development of programs and policies to facilitate the growth of small and medium enterprises in the country. But economic analysts say that doesn't go far enough.
We want the government through the National Assembly to come up with a stronger bill on the cooperative that will be more than the act that we are having now. And as they do that, they should give it a speedy hearing, as well as ensuring that the bill gets the presidential assent. Not only the presidential assent, to make sure that there is implementation at every level that has to do with cooperative in this country.
The hope is that more small-scale business owners like Gabriel will join cooperatives to encourage regular saving and providing credit to not just sustain, but improve their businesses.
The hospitality industry in Zimbabwe is in distress because hotels and restaurants could not make sales due to the new COVID-19 restrictions. Zimbabwe remained of daily COVID-19 vaccination to record as the government put hopes on a faster rollout to support economic recovery. Details in this report.
Open for business, but empty. Restaurants can only offer takeaway services, another challenge that operators have to face daily due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This has affected their earnings, and they're counting the days
Effectively, we've been under lockdown for 463 days.
And their rising operational costs.
We've had significant numbers of losses over a period of time, and just when we've been recouping those losses around Q3, Q4, then we had a lockdown coming again in January. There was a little bit of a partial opening. So it's basically an up-down cycle. It doesn't allow us to have any level of consistency. It doesn't allow us to plan.
Hotels are also in distress.
As we speak for this year, a destination like Vic Falls has struggled to get to about 10%. So hotels in Vic Falls are trading well below 10%, which is quite scary.
Which is why they want a reprieve. Because they had to meet strict health and safety guidelines even before the pandemic broke out, players in the hospitality sector say they are way ahead of others in terms of implementing COVID-19 prevention protocols and therefore want to be allowed to welcome their guests back into their facilities again. Industry players say about 70% of employees have been vaccinated, and this has reduced the risks that their clients face.
So I understand people say masks are off, etc. But when you come in, you sanitize, you get your temperature checked, you can sit in an isolated zone. You and I can sit as people who know each other in the same family and have our lunch, be served by a waiter who has a mask on the entire time, and we leave.
Our thought process is that probably we could participate in the strategy to manage the pandemic by way of, say, for instance, if we have got workshops, which are key drivers of business in the hotels. A government could then send teams to educate people on taking up vaccines and even ensuring that people that can then come to participate in workshops are jabbed whilst they are participating in workshops.
Zimbabwe has recently purchased 2.5 million vaccines to accelerate its inoculation program, which is key to the reopening of the economy.
Now, the chief economists for the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Programme held a virtual media briefing following the publication of the 2021 State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World. The report gives information on the progress towards ending hunger, achieving food security, and improving nutrition. This report features the joint briefing at the United Nations headquarters in New York.
The first global assessment of its kind in the pandemic era, the report is jointly published by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the United Nations Children's Fund, the UN World Food Programme, and the World Health Organization. The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World is an annual flagship report jointly prepared by FAO, IFAD, UNICEF, WFD, and WHO to inform on the progress towards ending hunger, achieving food security, and improving nutrition. It further provides in-depth analysis on key challenges for achieving the global in context of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The report targets a wide audience, including policymakers, international organizations, academic institutions, and the general public. Speaking at the press conference, the FAO chief economist Massimo Terrero said there is a need to look into the inadequacy of food in the world.
Globally, nearly 1 in 3 people in the world, 2.4 million people, did not have access to adequate food in 2020. And that is an increase of nearly 320 million people in 1 year. So the numbers are pretty dramatic, and this also applies to all the other malnutrition indicators.
As outlined in last year's report, transforming food system is essential to achieve food security, improve nutrition, and put healthy diet within reach of all. This year's edition goes further to outline 6 transformation pathways, which, according to the authors, rally on a coherent set of policy and investment portfolios to counter the hunger drivers. Mr. Terrero went on to underscore the content and agreement of the 2021 State of Food Security and Nutrition Report.
One of the things that this report does is combine the different drivers. No? So We start with the typical drivers that we have been analyzing, which is conflict, climate extremes and variability, and economic downturns and slowdowns. And we see how many of those happen at the same time.
In many parts of the world, the pandemic has triggered brutal recessions and jeopardized access to food. Yet, even before the pandemic, hunger was spreading progress on malnutrition large. This was all the more so in nations affected by conflict or climate extremes or other economic downturns or battling high inequality, all of which the report identifies as major drivers of food insecurity, which in turn interact. On current trends, the state of food security and nutrition in the world estimates that the Sustainable Development Goal 2, which is zero hunger by 2030, will be missed by a margin of nearly 600 million people. Of these 660 million, some 30 million may be linked to the pandemic lasting effects. For iAfrica News, Binti Jallo.
FAO's joint official meeting on the publication of the World State of Food Security and Nutrition 2021 by our Binti Jallo brings us to the end of the World Today newscast. I am your presenter, Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.
Hello! There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell.